Welcome back to Steve's Project Car Garage. My name is Steve, and sitting behind me is the bottom of my 1970 Triumph Spitfire named Tanker. In tonight's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you what's going on with the car on the underside a little bit more detail than in my last video, give you an idea what my plan is, and get started on trying to tackle some of this rust. Stick around, it's going to be a good video. So, here we are. Alright, well, here's what we're looking at. These are some pretty nasty, ugly welds. If you remember back in the video when I did this, I was doing this on my back, which obviously is never the optimal way of being able to weld. So there's definitely a lot of areas of opportunity that I'm going to need to clean up. I'll go ahead and grind this all down flat, try to get this looking better. Maybe make a couple of repair welds as I go. Got spots underneath here that I just was not able to reach because, obviously the frame was in the way. So I got to come through here, clean all this up a little bit better because, again, I wasn't able to reach any of this. But I was able to get some welds on there. So that's what we're looking at there. Got some hole down here I need to fill. Got to come through here and clean up all of these welds. You can see there's plenty of MIG wire sticking through. Same thing over here. But, I mean, really, not too nasty of looking welds, to be frank. But and then same deal down here on the bottom. But let's take a look here. So this is back when I first started to learn to weld. And it was pretty clear that I had no clue what I was doing because there's like no penetration. So I got to come through and I got to try to clean this up and fix it. I got some rust going on there that I really kind of want to knock out. We got holes I got to fill, holes I tried to fill, holes I got to fill again. Hey, it sounds like a piano string. And then under here, again, I've never seen this side of the car before because this was all covered by the frame. Plenty of rust. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably come in here with a wire wheel and just try to knock as much of this rust down as possible. And then hit it with some prep etch to go ahead and clean up the rust. Spots up in here that obviously need attention. I need to knock all this paint and rubber and just grind down, get it down to the metal. Get that cleaned up. Got this edge here. This is where the boot pan that was replaced sometime in the early 2000s. Let's see if I can see a date on there. No, there's no date on that one. But this was replaced by a previous owner at one point or another. And instead of fixing the rust that they had, they just opted to seam seal it. So there's great big boogers of seam seal. So I want to heat that up with a torch, try to clean it up as best as possible, maybe throw some new metal in or just kind of hammer it down, make it nice and flat and clean, and then throw welds on it. Because it doesn't look like there's really anything welding these two pieces together. I'm pretty sure it's just seam sealed, which is super sketch. So got that going on. Over here, looks like they attempted to drill holes for spot welds or plug welds and never actually did them. So we got to put that together. The rest of the floor is actually good there though, which isn't bad. And then that's really about it. I mean, I missed the holes and I put these mounts on, like I missed them horribly. So before I took the body off, I drilled just to kind of locate where everything goes for the bolts that go into the floor. So I'll have to pilot those out. Clean up down here and then down here. So that's kind of the plan, at least for now, until I notice more issues. That's kind of a general assessment and overview of the floor. It isn't too bad. I have a patch here and here that I got to make. That should be easy street, really. So that's what we're looking at. All right, so it's been actually a few days since that intro was filmed. A lot of stuff has happened in life, which is fine. And so I really haven't had the opportunity to come out here and spend as much time to work on this as I wanted to. So let me just show you real quick what I have done, and then I'll give you a bit of a plan for what I'm going to do tonight. All right, so I went ahead and I removed the e-brake cable holder. That was what caused all the issues with trying to unmount this guy from the frame. So that's what I have accomplished. No, actually, I also did accomplish taking out the, well, you can't see it because I took it out, but the accelerator pedal and shaft. That was a real pain. I did it off camera thinking it'd be really quick and easy, but it wasn't. So I think what I'm going to do tonight is just kind of start from the top down. And so up top here, I think I'm just going to start grinding away at all of this crap. Undercoat, paint, rubber, road grime, whatever. And just kind of see what I have for metal there. I know that I'm going to have a little bit of welding to do here. You can see there's some thin metal just to close that up. I think I'm just going to frankly leave this lip the way it is. It is what it is. It's not pretty, but it's going to be hidden. And then maybe just try to clean up some of these welds here. I don't know. Again, I'm not overly concerned with it. I'll probably just fill this with seam sealer, honestly. I know I've got some holes here. So this is going to be much like on the other side where I went ahead and actually cut this out and then welded in new metal. So probably won't get to that tonight necessarily, but I'm going to maybe cut this out and expose it. I've got a hole here that I attempted to repair at one point or another, and that went absolutely awry. So yeah, some welds maybe I'll flatten out. Just try to get this section squared away to start. And then we will worry about moving down through here at a later date. So I'm gonna get cracking on this, and I'll check back in.
5 minutes later.
All right, so I got that cleaned up at least a good bit of all the black stuff. I kept getting whiffs of rubber along the way, so I kind of guessed that there was probably some tire rubber maybe in there, but definitely some rubber undercoating too. So I knew this section here, so I've outlined this. This is going to be one patch that I'll end up having to make. And then I got another patch here. You can kind of see it, but I'll make another patch somewhat like this. And then I discovered that little hole there. So that's kind of the metal patches that I need to make. I noticed over here too that there is this great big kind of like bulgy bump, like something hit it from the inside at one point or another. And I went and I looked on the other side and there's nothing there. So what I'll probably end up doing is just trying to maybe see if I can hammer and dolly that, or just even give it a couple of good whacks with a mallet just to kind of flatten it out. And if I can, great. If I can't, it's not a big deal because frankly, no one's going to see it. I went ahead and I closed up some of these. I took a hammer to it and I just kind of hammered on these just to kind of flatten them out a little bit. The metal's pretty rough. There's really no denying that. So I'm gonna have to, when I get to this section, reevaluate my plan. I may end up having to just cut like this whole dang strip and just do patch, patch, patch. And kind of work my way down and put new metal in there because it's pretty rough. So, and also I was admiring some of my welding skills from when I first started. This is absolutely great. That's lovely. And I got a lot of work over here gonna have to do. So yeah, my welding has come a long way since I did that, and we need to fix it and make it better. So that's kind of where we're at. Let's see what else we can do. All right, so here's what we did. I went ahead and cut out this section here. Got back to good metal all around. I have a great big mallet, rawhide mallet that's from my grandfather-in-law, and I gave that a one good whack right here, and that closed that up nicely. There's a small crack though that I saw here before I hit it that I needed to just fill, so I'll hit that with some weld. And then over here, I thought this was going to be a small patch, but it's actually looking to turn out to be 2 patches. So as I cut this metal out, it revealed that this section here is pretty bad. So I'll end up having to cut this out and then create a new flange to go in here, and then I'll put a patch on top. All right, so it's Wednesday night. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up for tonight. It's almost 10 o'clock. So I will catch you in just a few days or seconds.
Several days later.
Welcome back, you guys. So a lot has happened since I actually last filmed. My friend Chris came over, he and I knocked out a few things, made a few improvements to the rotisserie, and we knocked out some of that metal work that I was talking about. So first, let me go ahead and show you the improvements to the rotisserie, and then I'll show you what we worked on. All right, so first thing, we built a safety mechanism. We did one of these in the front and the back. Well, actually, I'll say Chris did this, but so essentially it just locks in place. And it's got a little bit of play in it, so typically it's like one side or the other is going to be what's supporting it, but these roll in and these kind of lock it, so that way it's not going to go any further than like that. So it works out quite well. Other thing that we did is we added in some additional upright support. Chris noticed that the 4x4s were kind of pulling in a little bit, so we added these guys on each side for just some added stability. And then over here on the front, I got a little sketched out by the fact that I only had a couple of screws holding this in. So I actually went ahead and I did some through and through carriage bolts. So these go actually all the way through the 4x4 and they bolt down nice and snug. So that does it for those. It just kind of gives the whole thing a little bit more stability. Now, let me show you what kind of cool party trick this rotisserie can also do. All right, so one of the other things I did is I raised the front bar. If you remember correctly, the front was actually on a lower setting. Now it's even, and because of that, this allows me to do a full rotation with the rotisserie. Just like that. And now I can go ahead and lay it flat, which is why I wanted to do the through and through carriage bolts on the 4x4s. All right, so this was the section that I had originally been working on when it was vertical. And so what I went ahead and did is I cut out this section here, I welded in a new patch panel, did a bunch of plug welds to go through, and I gave it a nice little rounded edge. So now this is a pretty smooth transition, just need to grind it down. Over here, I welded in a patch to go ahead and carry over this and the little seam. And then I welded in a new patch that goes on top of it. Coming over here, Chris got out his wire wheel and he busted all of the rust off of this surface. So I need to come through and now finish the job on this side. But this side over here is looking pretty good. We talked about this seam here. The metal over here seems pretty decent. I should be able to put some welds through it. In here though, this is definitely gonna need some replacement, so I'll have to make a couple of small patches. Not really much of a big deal. And then back over here, we discovered some rot that I didn't even know about, but there's some rust here in this panel that used to be new back in the early 2000s. And fun fact is that there were just a few big booger welds that holds these panels together, and the rest of it was held together with seam sealer, as is the case on this seam over here. Fun. All right, so that does it for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because honestly, I started filming this video like a week ago, and I've just been doing small little jobs incrementally here and there to get to a much bigger job. So in the next video, I'm gonna go ahead and tackle getting the rest of that rust cleaned up, grind down my welds, and then start going from there. I've been doing some research on how I'm gonna paint this and do the Raptor liner, I've decided for sure. But I'm gonna do a epoxy first, and then after I do the epoxy, I'm gonna do the Raptor liner on top of it. So I'm pretty excited to get this done and painted, because then as soon as this is done and painted, frankly, I can get this thing off the rotisserie and actually go ahead and put it onto some sawhorses, which might make it take up a little bit less room in the garage and make me a little less sketched out about having it this way. I don't know. We'll figure that out though. So anyways, for the time being, if you like this kind of content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the bell to get those post notifications. And remember, when working on old cars like this, don't be that dreaded previous owner. Cheers.